What would you do if the future called? I was sitting in my cramped, cluttered apartment, staring at the blinking cursor on my laptop screen, when my phone rang. It was 3:17 in the morning, the kind of hour when no one in their right mind would call unless it was an emergency, a drunk dial, or some cruel prank. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the phone. Should I answer it? Curiosity won out. Hello. The voice on the other end was distorted, crackling with static like an old radio caught between stations. Listen carefully, a man's voice said, strained and urgent. You don't know me, but you need to. I'm calling from the future, your future. If you don't want to be unalived, you must stop the following events. I almost hung up. It sounded ridiculous, like a script from a bad sci-fi movie, but there was something in the voice, something desperate and real that made me pause. What events? I asked, more out of disbelief than actual concern. The fire at the Grand Central Hotel in 2 days, the blasting at City Hall next week, the collapse of the bridge on the 12th. His voice trembled, and the static grew louder. They all happen because of you. Every step you take, every decision you make, you have to find a way to break the cycle. Then, silence. The call dropped. I stared at my phone, heart pounding, the weight of the words sinking in. It had to be a joke. I was a journalist, used to people trying to mess with me, but something about the way he spoke, I couldn't shake it off. 2 days later, the Grand Central Hotel caught fire. 32 people were injured, 6 unalived. And I'd been there, right in the lobby, chasing a lead on a corruption scandal involving the city's elite. I had no idea how I'd made it out alive. My instincts had kicked in when I smelled the smoke, and I bolted for the door. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I replayed the call in my mind, over and over. The bridge collapse, the blasting. Was this some kind of sick game? A coincidence? The days passed, and the events unfolded exactly as the voice had predicted. The City Hall blasting happened the next week. I'd been there too, covering a protest. I wasn't supposed to be in the building, but a tip-off had led me inside just minutes before the explosion. And then, on the 12th, the bridge collapsed. I had been heading there for a separate story, a piece on infrastructure neglect. Each time, I narrowly escaped. Each time, I felt a tightening knot in my stomach. What if it wasn't a prank? What if that voice really was from the future? And if it was, how was I connected to these tragedies? I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that somehow, I was part of a game I didn't understand. I started researching. I dove into the archives, tracing every event, every possible connection. But there was nothing, no obvious link between me and these disasters until I noticed a small, recurring detail. A man, always in the background, always watching. In every photograph, every CCTV footage, there he was, tall, with a gray coat and a face that seemed vaguely familiar. And then, it hit me. He was the man in the reflection I'd seen in the mirror once, just a flash, a trick of the light. But no, it was him. He was following me, or was I following him? I tracked him down to an old abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. I went there, alone, armed with nothing but a camera and my notepad. As I entered, my phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. I answered. I told you not to come here, the voice from the future said, his tone strained. You're not supposed to be here. You're making it worse. Who are you? I demanded. Why are you doing this? I'm you, he said quietly, from a different timeline. Every time you try to change the events, you end up causing them. You're caught in a loop, a paradox. I've been trying to warn you, but you keep coming back here, no matter what. I froze. My skin went cold. My hands shook. How do I break the cycle? The line crackled. There is no way, unless you stop trying to fix it. Let it play out. Accept it. I felt a rush of frustration and fear. You expect me to do nothing? No, he whispered. I expect you to survive. Suddenly, the call ended. I heard a noise behind me, a click, the sound of a door creaking open. I turned around, but it was too late. A figure moved out of the shadows, and then everything went dark. I woke up in a hospital bed, bandages around my head, bruises covering my body. I had been unconscious for 2 days. My phone was gone, and with it, any trace of the call. The events were still unfolding, just as predicted. I knew what I had to do. I had to stop chasing the future and start living in the present. I had to find another way, find the cracks in time, the echoes that could be altered. The puzzle wasn't complete. Not yet. But one thing was certain. The future was still calling. And I was the only one who could answer. To be continued. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching.